Hey there, welcome to the Frontier BuildCast.
This is not the show where we pretend construction has one right answer.
This is the show where we talk through our opinions, our experiences, our arguments, our product picks, our pet peeves, and stuff we see in the real world every day.
Some of it will be smart, some of it will be controversial, but all of it will be honest.
So if you want polished facts, this ain't the place for you. If you want real conversation about building, renovating, design, permits, products, and all the chaos in between,
you're in the right place.
This is the Frontier BuildCast. Let's go. Hey Jay, how are you today?
I'm happy that there's finally some warm weather.
Looks like you hit some redness from the warmth yesterday.
Yeah, maybe I got some sun. There's definitely got some sun yesterday.
Out in the cottage, or what are you guys doing?
Yep, setting off some fireworks at the cottage and with the nephews and my son, just enjoying some time out there.
Cool.
Hanging out. We really didn't do much. Did a little bit of work around the cottage to make ourselves feel like we actually did something, but a lot of it was just sitting around talking.
Well, you guys are going to start a project there soon, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, Sean, our superintendent here, is going to be doing my deck there over a couple of weekends. So getting the deck redone. So
nice.
And we just had some plumbing redone. We had to get some, it's on a cistern, so pressure tank and pump and stuff redone too. So.
It's always if it's not one thing, it's always another, isn't it?
Seems that way, man.
Yeah. You know, it's having real estate, having houses, having properties. It's that push and pull of joy and pain.
Yeah, well, we're super fortunate with what we've got. Like we've got the cottage, and a lot of people would kill to have what we have, and I'm quite proud of what we got. Yeah, it comes with a lot of responsibility that's added on as well. So.
Absolutely. And you guys, you guys run that as an Airbnb from time to time, don't you?
Yes, for now.
For now?
For now.
For now, for not forever. I run an Airbnb. I mean, I run an Airbnb at my house too. So I always think that for me, real estate should work for its money. It should always be working, right? So.
Yeah, it's not the renting out the Airbnb that's the issue. It's the management behind that. It's like,
the cleaning of it, it's the turning over and all that stuff. Yeah.
Dealing with mostly making beds and sheets and stuff like that. We have a cleaner that comes and does a cleaning, but we have to flip over all the beds and clean sheets and organize, and we have closets full of sheets and pillows and pillowcases and all this stuff. It's just it's a lot of work, which is fine. It's a lot of extra work. It's not as easy as we don't have a property manager. We are the property manager. Neither do you. We're doing it all ourselves.
No, yeah, I don't either. Yeah, we do it all ourselves. We've been doing it for 6 years now. I think we've been doing Airbnb stuff, and the management of any job is the most challenging part of what I think any work is takes place anywhere, and especially in construction. The actual project management of a job is kind of the one that most people forget, and they underrepresent the challenges of. And which is like Sean, who's our site super, right? He does all of the management and scheduling and stuff like that of the sites. And it's a full-time job, 44, 50 hours a week just to manage, 3 or 4 crews.
Yeah, it's a full-time job. Managing that Airbnb and those things is a lot. And there's stuff that we have to do that we don't necessarily want to do. Like you mentioned that we're getting that deck rebuilt. It's like, I'd rather not. The deck is there. It's just falling apart. So now we've got to get it redone. And that's a big expense out of our pocket. That's we have this customer right now too that we're doing the project for. He's actually somebody we know really well that we work with a lot. And, he's had water issues in his basement 2 years back to back now. And different various handymen in to do different various aspects, and insurance companies in to do different aspects of fixing that. And then it leaked again this year for the 3rd year, this spring. And now he's got to redo his basement for the 3rd year in a row. And he called us to help him out with it. It's that's frustrating.
We didn't do the other 2 years, did we?
No, he called in various handymen to do various repairs. And some of them that we found when we were doing, we did the initial repair. We have to put the house back together now, but we did the initial repair, the waterproofing part of it. And we found the repairs that the previous guys had done, and they're laughably terrible. It's laughable.
Obviously this is going to be a problem again.
One guy, there's some cracks in the concrete in the floor that's covered by carpet, and one guy came in with honestly, he must have used a paintbrush and some sort of clear glue or sealer of some sort and just painted it on the cracks in the floor. And said, "Oh, that'll solve your problems." Like literally, that's what he did. He came in like we pulled up the old carpet and took a look, and Andrew's like, "Yeah, that's the work that was done last year." And I was like, he painted the crack. How much did he charge you for that? I think it was like $4,000 or something like that for him to come and paint some." Honestly, like, it wouldn't hold 1 pound of water pressure, let alone what the groundwater can put up. So, brutal.
You know, I see those commercials of the guy that takes that black goop and goes across the jug with the water pouring out. Is that the stuff they used, or you ever seen that?
Not even close. Like, it literally looks like shellac that you'd use on pottery. It's like clear, like shellac or something. I don't know what it is.
Somebody said that this was going to work.
I mean, I don't know. He probably just got taken advantage of. Our industry has a well-earned reputation of having shysters in it, and it is well-earned of people that are just looking to steal $4,000 to $10,000 and run away and never talk to you again. They're more than happy to do that. So it's just wild.
Warranty.
And this has happened twice. And he also fell into the trap thinking that he had water issues in his basement that the insurance company is going to fix the problem. But he came to the realization that that's not how it works with insurance companies.
What do you mean? How does it work?
Well, they don't fix the problem. They fix the damage that the problem caused. But they're not going to solve the water coming into the basement problem. They're going to fix the drywall up 2 feet on the wall and replace the flooring and paint it all up and make it look pretty, but put it back to the state it was at before the damage occurred. But there's nothing stopping the water from doing the exact same thing next year.
So you're telling me insurance companies are reactive, not proactive? Is that what you're telling me?
That's literally their job, is to be reactive. So, I mean, you think that their best interest is to prevent the problem in the future too, but it's just not what they're in the business for. Their business is fix the mistake as cheap as possible, is what their job is. They're not trying to... You gave an
analogy about somebody in brakes or something like that one time. What was that? What was that analogy?
Yeah. Well, like a insurance company for your car, because it's easy to understand when it comes to your car. Most people have had to make an insurance claim with their vehicle before. You got a fender bender or something like that, and you throw an insurance claim through. And they come in, if like let's say you're coming to a stop at a stoplight, and your brakes fail, or you have low brake fluid, and your brakes go to the floor, and they don't slow you down nearly as fast as you were expecting they would, and you go into the back end of the car in front of you. And everybody's okay, and you all kind of leave, and you call your insurance company because you have comprehensive auto insurance. You say, "Oh, I'm going to call my insurance company to fix my car," and they go, "Oh yeah, we'll fix your car," and they put a nice new fender, a nice new bumper, new headlights on there, paints it all up, and make it all pretty, and they spend $5,000-$6,000 making your car look good again. And then you go, "Okay, good," and you hop back in the car and start driving again, and you get that same fender bender because you're still out of brake fluid. Because the insurance company's job is not to fill the brake fluid. Their job is to fix the mistake, fix the problem, get the car back to the state it was just before the accident. And so it's your responsibility to then go, "Oh, I got in an accident because of the brake fluid. Since the insurance company is fixing the car, I'd better fill up the brake fluid." That's the case here too.
That's a ludicrous industry.
It has a purpose. Insurance has a purpose, of course. You don't want people bankrupting themselves, and you don't want people bankrupting themselves with something that is that is repairable. Health insurance in the States, it's critical. House insurance is super, super important because if something happens to your house and it's a $300,000 repair, yeah, you want insurance that's going to help you repair it back to the state it was at. But if the ground underneath the house is unstable, the insurance company is not going to fix the ground underneath the house. They're going to fix the foundation, put up a new foundation wall for you, but they're not going to fix the ground underneath the house. What we had to do for Andrew was actually gut the basement that he just had redone 2 years in a row. So the whole basement, all the wall he was frustrated. He's like, "My bathroom? Yeah, your bathroom's gone. The flooring, the drywall, the insulation, dude, it's all gone. It's all got to go, and we got to start from scratch again because we have to solve the problem which is behind all this stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And so we spent 2 or 3 days just gutting his basement back to not even the studs. Like the studs came out, So we're left with a finished ceiling. We didn't necessarily have to undo the finished ceiling, but all the walls, all the flooring, everything that's touching the exterior foundation walls had to come out. And in order for us to put in a waterproofing system in this house, he's frustrated. When we asked him how much he prepared to invest into this repair, he wasn't anticipating the amount that we told him it was going to cost.
I think any number above zero was what he was anticipating to spend.
It's a frustrating problem to have to solve 3 times in a row. But I said, I'm not willing to solve the problem in a way that in a year or 2 years or 3 years we get that another 100-year rainfall and you have a problem again. I'm not willing to do that. So if you're talking to me, we're going to get this thing done right. And the only way to do that is to invest some serious time and money into this again. One second, right back. Sorry, somebody decided to start weed eating right outside my window as I started this podcast, so.
I didn't hear it.
You couldn't hear it?
No.
I'm sure it's going to show up on the recording, so.
I'm guessing. That's okay. That's okay. This client that you keep saying, right? I'm sure like the joy of having to fix it 3 times is not good. Is there any kind of like relief knowing that at least a professional company is actually taking care of it this time?
I think so. Like, he's expressed to us, like, hey, I want this problem fixed once and for all. So he said that to us. It's like, I don't want to deal with this again.
Yeah.
When we took on the project, we agreed to do this demo work while he was away. I think he went to, like, Europe somewhere. So we did this demo work while he was away, too. So we timed it that way. We actually we broke the project into 2 phases, which is this waterproofing phase and the reconstruction phase, in order to accommodate that schedule. So he's not home for the demolition, which is like a really loud job. We broke out, 3 tons of concrete off the basement floor and excavated dirt around the entire perimeter of the house in order to put a new weeping tile system on the inside of the foundation. So, like, we accommodated that, and he was in Europe the whole time, and we were giving him updates, and I think it was a relief that he knew that the problem was getting solved while he was away. And like, we were sending him pictures and videos of the project as we were getting it finished up, as we always do. And, he kept expressing his appreciation for us taking care of it. Even though he's frustrated about the investment, I think it's calming knowing that he's got somebody in there that's actually doing a comprehensive job of this repair.
So like, when you guys take on this job, and how do you know that your repair that you're suggesting is going to be the one that works?
Well, we don't just do it alone, so we brought in a subcontractor, so a guy that just does wet basement repairs. So we don't do wet basement repairs specifically. That's not a specialty trade that we do. In fact, the guy that actually did the concrete breaking and stuff is a subcontractor that we brought in to do it. We're acting as the general contractor to make sure that the project is being done correctly, and then we'll take care of the reconstruction, of course. But we are offering our standard warranties on all of our workmanship, so it's covered. So if any issues do come back, that's on us and our insurance, not him and his insurance. Our insurance covers us for errors and omissions. His insurance doesn't. It just covers the actual bricks and mortar. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So this project, I mean, it can't be small, like a small project then.
You and I did it at your house. You know what it was.
I know that. I know what it feels like to do the job.
Yeah.
But I would imagine his house is bigger than my house.
It's a bit bigger than, it was. Well, your house that we did this work at for you, whatever, 10 years ago.
I had that stupid cistern in my basement that was also 3 tons of concrete.
That was a lot. And all out through the basement window. And that's what we had to do here, too. Everything was put into 5-gallon pails. Here as well as your house, put into 5-gallon pails, and those 5-gallon pails are lifted up into the basement window, into the window well. And somebody's outside lifting them out of the window well by hand and dumping them into a big dumpster in the driveway. It's a daunting project. But
honestly, if knowing the way that the crews are doing it, I can tell you that my back still aches 7 years later. It was
big job.
It was crazy.
But what we'll do is we'll have both put in here the video of it completed now, the waterproofing portion of it completed, to show you what exactly it is that we did there, because it looks good. It looks like nobody was even in there. You wouldn't know it except that it's not a finished basement yet, because that's phase 2 of the project, which will be happening, after we make all our selections and go through the process now, which he's going down now that he's back from Europe.
I mean, one of the things I've heard, and this client that we keep talking about, he was a past client that experienced our service level years before and has since rehired us for additional work for scopes that we've evolved into. As companies tend to do, they tend to evolve and do things and change things. And one of the comments that he made most recently was how different the process is now than what it was when he first hired us, 5 or 7 years ago now.
Yeah, we're a growing company. We've made lots of changes. He hired us during the pandemic, in 2020 or 2021. It was during the pandemic, and my dad had just retired from the company as well, so we were dealing with a bunch of changes. The pandemic was crazy for construction companies for a couple of reasons. It was like material availability was difficult. Our ability to go in and meet with people and talk to them, not to mention that like if somebody was sick at home or something like that, that would add another layer of complications, which was the case here. And so honestly, it was a difficult one for us to do for for all of those reasons and more. And the project didn't go quite as seamlessly as we expected. Now the project at the end of the day ended up being beautiful and perfect, and I've never heard a single complaint of the project since. But did it take us too long? Was the communication during the process not as good as it could have been? Definitely. But based on his feedback and customers like his, we made some changes to the way that we run our business and the way that we communicate. We've invested heavily in different types of software. We've built processes and systems to make sure people are feeling communicated with, and then we've brought in the right people on the team to make sure that those communications are happening. So yeah, he's noticed a huge marked difference. And by the way, hopefully he'll do a testimonial video for us. And you guys will see that posted up on our YouTube page as well, because I think if we follow through with the rest of this project, which I know we will in a positive way, even though he's spending more money than he wants to or thought he should have, I know he'll be thrilled with what we've done.
So I mean, this is one big project. I mean, the complications on this one were, I think I don't really know the project all that well. I haven't been to this site. I know that the general idea is he was getting moisture in the basement. The general thought is that it's coming up through the concrete. Is that right?
That's the thought that he had. It was probably showing itself that way. Just like a food allergy shows itself in maybe a flare up on the skin, but it's not the acute issue. But yeah, water was seeping up through the floor of the concrete. Yeah.
So how does that happen then? What's the general mechanism behind how water gets into a basement? Do you know?
I'm a contractor and a business owner. I'm not a hydro engineer, but from what I understand is that there's hydrostatic pressure that builds from groundwater. Once the groundwater is saturated, that water always is seeking the lowest pressure point. And since your basement is generally a very dry area, it doesn't receive groundwater from rain and drainage, especially in the thaw of the spring cycle. Your basement might be underneath your basement floor might be the only thaw area in the area. And we had a very harsh winter this year. We think frost went down 5.5, 6 feet in some areas. But when all that frost came out, it seeks the lowest points, and frozen ground is not low pressure. Thaw ground is, especially if it's gravel. And underneath your basement floor is 8 inches to 12 inches of gravel. So all this groundwater is now going down and flowing into the lowest pressure area, which is underneath your basement now. So now that water is seeped underneath the basement floor, and without any proper drainage in place, which his drainage tile on the perimeter of his foundation is broken. It's not working at all. It's 100% ineffective. The water is getting underneath the basement, and then as that water pressure builds, the next lowest pressure point is the actual basement space itself. So that water is pushing up, and it's going to find a way through concrete. Even if there's no cracks, it's still going to find a way through concrete. Concrete is porous.
Well, we see that white residue on the outside of concrete.
Effervescence, yeah, it's showing the history of concrete that was previously wet and is now dry is effervescence, like this white kind of line all over the place. And we saw that all over his basement floor and walls.
Is that right? And that's generally like like a mineral deposit from the water coming and then just evaporating out into the air.
Yeah, just like if you like let water evaporate out of your glass, there's still like a little bit of white residue inside your glass. It's the same stuff. It's just concrete makes it look worse because where concrete gets wet, it also breaks down the outside edge of the concrete a little bit, so it just kind of shows it a little bit more. Yeah.
So anybody that sees this like white residue on their foundation, should they be worried about like water getting into the basement?
If nothing has been done about it, I mean, seeing it alone is not a sign that it's happening. It's a sign that it has happened before. So if you or a previous owner of that home has done something to solve that problem, by the way, solving that problem could be literally as easy as changing the slope on the exterior grading. Like if the ground is, leading in towards the house and you raise the grade up so the groundwater is rushing away from the house instead, and extending your downspouts, or even better, putting in a weeping system on your exterior downspouts from your eaves troughs or something like that. If you solve the problem, you may never have a problem again. But if you didn't if you didn't solve the problem, you're probably going to get that problem again. And the reason I had a little chuckle there is because one of the problems at this house in the area that was wet was that the outside hose faucet bib was just running. It had frozen and it wasn't turning off when he turned the spigot off, so the water was just continuing to run. You may not have noticed, and that running water, like when we sent Paul there to take a look and kind of get a sense for what's going on in that project, he said, I had to change this faucet. He did it really quick. He just kind of cut it off, put a new one on that wasn't broken, so that turned off that faucet. And I said, well, just curious about how much water was running out of that faucet. Like if you put a 5-gallon pail underneath that water, like a standard size 5-gallon bucket underneath that faucet, how long would it have taken to fill up? And Paul's like, less than an hour, somewhere between a half an hour and an hour.
Jeez.
So I was like, if we're being generous and it was an hour that it could fill the 5-gallon pail, that means that in 24 hours, I'm gonna do this on a calculator, 24 times 5 gallons, it's 120 gallons of water every single day being poured directly against the foundation wall. Like as directly against the foundation wall as it gets.
That can't be the right answer.
And if it was like that for 10 weeks, so times 70 days, that's 8,400 gallons of water.
That's size of easily a size of a swimming pool.
Yeah, so it's like draining your entire swimming pool against your foundation slowly. So that was probably one of the problems with
probably
this
not
issue.
The only, but probably a problem for sure.
Right. But the fact is, water shouldn't, even if that's happening, a properly draining house shouldn't actually flood from something like that. There should be a drainage tile on the exterior foundation wall that collects that water and slowly, you'll run your sump pump a little extra or whatever, but because the drainage tile is supposed to be connected to a sump pump that then pumps that water away from the house. So your sump pump will run more frequently. That's okay. It's no big deal. His sump pit was completely dry because it was in the very front of the house. So the sump pit had cobwebs growing in it because it wasn't even running. So the sump pit was in the wrong location anyways. It was on the low spot on the property. Like it was on a side where the water drainage issues are no problem. And the reason we couldn't put an exterior tile around his house was it was just patios, concrete, decks, hot tubs, everything is pushed right up against the foundation on that house. So it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars to take everything down and rebuild it all. And the solution that we came up with is just as effective. It's just a little bit more destructive on the inside.
Well, it's about managing. It's not about stopping the water from coming in the first place at this point. It's about managing what it does when it gets.
I talked to a lot of concrete contractors, and they say there's 2 types of concrete in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's concrete that's cracked, and there's concrete that will crack. Those are the 2 types. So yeah, if you think that you're going to stop concrete from cracking or water from ever making its way through a crack, like you're just lying to yourself. So what we're doing is letting the water come in through the foundation, and then we put a dimpled membrane up against the interior of the wall, and now water is coming in through the foundation, potentially running down the inside of that dimpled wall, and then when that dimplex goes down into the concrete trench that we dug, it goes into a weeping tile, and that weeping tile now collects all the water. It could collect 8,400 gallons, no problem. puts it into a sump pit, and that sump pit now pumps it out and far away from the property.
So, man, I don't know how old this house is, but don't they do that on the exterior now when they build new homes? They put like this, they tar
We did
the.
that too. It was on the exterior of the house there too, or at least we assume it is because there's some sort of weeping tiles attached to the old sump pit. But because the sump pit is dry and he's got water in the basement, we know for sure that that tile is failed. It's just completely failed. And a lot of things can cause that to be failed. It could be improperly installed in the first place, and some cheap builders might put stuff in that looks good from the surface, but when you go and inspect it, it's not done right. Or over time, it can slowly break down and fail. Like if there's been enough work done around the exterior of the foundation, and it can get crushed, or if it didn't have the right sock on it, or that sock was torn, it can fill up with soil or dirt and mud. Issues that we don't really have on the inside wall. We're not going to be doing anything that crushes it on the inside wall. And there's no soil that can get into it because it's on the inside of the basement now. So we've eliminated a lot of
I know when you finished your basement at your house, there was water in your basement there too. How did you solve that one?
I did it from the outside there. So I was able to, because that was the side of my house that had nothing, had no landscaping, had no decks or anything. It was just a couple of window wells. And I believe the water was coming in from, it's hard to know for sure. I identified when we did the demolition of the old finish, we identified that water had been getting in. And then so I just said, oh, well, if water had been in here once, I haven't fixed it. And I'm the new owner of this house. I've owned it 7 years or so. The water got in once. I'm going to not let that happen again if I'm going to finish the space. So I excavated that whole entire wall on the outside, all the way down to the footing. It did have a drainage pipe there. I replaced it with new drainage pipe and gravel and everything. And then I also put new drainage inside the window wells. So if the window wells get rainwater, they fill with the drainage pipe now, and the drainage pipe drains down to the footing. So we've solved that problem too.
I mean, water in basements is, after selling real estate for a lot of years, the common denominator is people were never really meant to live in basements. They were never designed to be living spaces. They were designed to be structural spaces to hold the house up.
That's right.
You look at old fieldstone foundations and people, they go to they're very musty generally speaking, and they're probably 100% humidity down there because they're just not meant to hold the water out. And I think what you said earlier was really important, is that water is going to find the path of least resistance, number one. Number two, it's going to go to the area of the lowest pressure, right? And basements are an empty space. There is no pressure in the basement. They're air pressure at that point, right? So an air pressure does not have as much pressure as earth pressing against anything. So it's always going to seek towards that, right? And then you couple us the idea that we now finish basements and we want them full living spaces. There's a lot of planning that needs to go into ensuring that whatever you do downstairs doesn't cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to pull out and reinstall later. And I think people often forget or don't take it or don't have enough appreciation for how complicated a basement actually is. What a basement's doing from the footings upwards to the sill plates. I mean, it's got a lot going on in what seems to be a simple structure, right? So, I make sure whenever I talk about basements, I talk to people about, if they're going to finish a basement, they really should be focusing on the first thing is ensuring that nature, and not only nature, but also argon, isn't getting stuck in the basement, right? Because basements didn't have argon filters or argon removal systems, which is it's a gas not just like carbon monoxide, but it's a gas that comes up from the earth and settles in the basement and causes a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's the biodegrading of rock, of minerals, and argon is a byproduct of that. Believe it or not, I didn't know that rock biodegrades, but it slowly biodegrades, and as it biodegrades, it breaks down, it creates this odorless, colorless gas that can seep into your basement. And nowadays we know about it, and there's argon testing kits. If you haven't done an argon test in your basement,
they're little pucks, right?
Yeah, there's little pucks. I got a digital one in our basement, so I have a digital readout that's just constantly down there, and I can monitor the argon levels in my basement. Very, very low in my basement. But nowadays we know about argon. It's one of those silent killers that we didn't know about until
People started living in the basements.
We've known about it a long time, but now we're living in basements, so now it's becoming a more of an issue. So,
and for us, because we do the ADU stuff, right? We talk about people going to live in basements. We're proponents of people changing their basements into rental apartments.
That's right.
Right. So argon is big for us, right?
Yeah. New construction now, like if you own a new house, it probably has an argon system in it. If not, you should double check. But I don't remember when they started bringing it in, but it might be 5 or 6 years ago that they started saying, like, mandating argon systems in some, this municipally, because it's not everywhere is as bad as other places. So some places are worse than others for argon. I know Norfolk County, where we do construction, argon's actually a serious problem. We're lots of natural gas out here, and we have lots of argon, and they're all related. That stuff is something we want to make sure we're monitoring and building for as well.
So how do you, like, what is an argon system?
What is an argon system?
Not argon, radon. It's not argon, it's radon.
You've been saying argon the whole time. It's radon.
We've been saying argon, it's radon, but
stupid.
Yeah.
Radon. Radon is the same thing. We do the same thing. We put in pipes that are porous and collect the radon and then exhaust it out the foundation, out into the atmosphere, which is where it's safe. It's safe in small amounts. It's safe in our atmosphere, but it's just not safe in confined spaces like our basements.
So how does an old home solve that now? Because I know that the new builds, it's like a pipe that goes under the ground that basically sucks the air out of the basement or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, that's how that's done in new construction. You can retrofit those systems as well, but you can also, the main thing right now is just getting fresh air into the basement. So you want a fresh air exchange system for radon now into the basements. So it's about opening up the basement to fresh air as often as possible. So, and yeah, depending on which system that is recommended for your home. It depends how it's set up. My house has a walkout basement, so we'd have a different system than somebody that doesn't have a walkout basement.
Okay.
And not that radon's an issue in my basement, so we don't have a problem.
Oh, because sometimes I stay in it.
Yeah, I know. I started monitoring it once I learned about it. So.
That's awesome. Is there anything we should be, people should know about basements before we call today the end of today's episode?
I mean, if you can't afford to mitigate water and radon in your basement, you can't afford to finish it. So I would say, like, if you're going to spend any money in your basement, it's to mitigate the water, it's to mitigate radon. And pests, by the way. Basements are the entry point for basements, and like where the basement meets the house construction is where you see mice and rats and stuff like that making their way in, and they cause some serious structural damage.
Carpenter ants, eh?
Carpenter ants are a problem. Yeah, rodents can chew on wires, things like that. So
I'm dealing with a pretty good carpenter ant infestation right now. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Because then you got to fix everything they chewed.
Yeah, so I would suggest if you can't afford to repair or to mitigate those issues, then you shouldn't bother even trying to mitigate or start finishing your basement.
It's funny because, those things are never glamorous, right? Like a foundation's not glamorous. Radon removal is not glamorous. Pest mitigation is not glamorous. Furnaces, windows, roofs, not glamorous, right? And they cost a bunch to deal with. Most people put so much more value on the pretty stuff, the paint colors and the flooring.
I mean, I get it, but you want it to look nice, and you want something to show your friends and family in a comfortable spot to like kind of be and everything like that. But like, it's not glamorous either when you put $150,000 into finishing a basement that needs to be ripped out 3 years later. That's not fun, and then you feel stupid too, and that's not fun for anybody. So you feel much smarter to be the guy that's putting in the legwork and the renovation. Maybe you do it over 3 or 4 or 5 years instead of over 1 year, but it's something that lasts 30 or 40 years before anything needs to be done.
I don't know. That seems like a great place for us to call today's episode.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
I think take your time, do it right, work with a good contractor. Your insurance company's not there to fix the problem. They're there to solve, like to repair the damage. That's all they're there for. So
We covered a lot of surface area today.
we sure did. In a good 37-minute long podcast.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, thanks for spending some time with me today. Thank you for joining the Frontier BuildCast. Till next time, folks. Bye for now.